So on chapter 8, page 40, there's a lot on belief and the impact it has on the game. So we reflect on the quote, and it's not who you are that holds you back, it's who you think you're not. And just take a moment to think about that sort of quote. I saw it years ago, and process it. Take some time to process it. And like I mentioned earlier before, you've got two players. Think for a moment, you've got the same fitness test, you've got the same, tactically the same level, technically the same level. Then what's the difference? Well, obviously in the day you've got things like injury and other things that come up too, but all things being equal. So we start looking at the mental side of the game. And the mental side of the game is key. I'm sort of going to look at, I read this years ago. It was the 4-minute mile. You've probably heard this before. I was reading one time, and they talked about how in the first half of the 20th century, the world believed it wasn't possible to run under 4 minutes for a mile. Then on the 6th of May, 1954, Roger Bannister ran it in 3:59, and everyone was in awe. So what was really interesting afterward, you sort of get a chance to read it, what was really fascinating for me wasn't just the fact that they said it was impossible to break 4 minutes for a mile, and Roger Bannister did it. What was really interesting, and 1950, a long time before my time, but the point being is that not long after that was quite interesting when having read, about it. The following year, many other runners did it too. So it was like a spell had been broken. Like this belief is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So today we're going to sort of focus on the phenomenon of beliefs and how they impact us. Behind the behavior is a belief. We'll take a closer look at these beliefs and how they impact us, and take a look and think, well, what actually is a belief? So in this case, the scientist said it couldn't be done, but Roger Bannister found a way to do it. But then what's fascinating, other people did it too. So because he did it, people knew it's possible. So it's obviously a lot harder to break ground. But once you've broken ground, then it's fascinating. People believe, and that shows you how much of an impact belief has on us. So it starts with someone. Beliefs guide our decisions and behavior in all areas of our life, including sports. So this could even tonight is also about your academic performance. If you're doing school or college and you want to get a certain grade, and someone says you can't get this grade in maths, you can't get this grade in English, you can't get this grade in history. So the key thing is that belief is really important. They determine what we think is possible. More often or not, they become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Most of our beliefs are not fully our own. There's every chance they've been modified from other people. Sometimes people tell you things. I'll give you an example. She probably won't like me mentioning this, by the way, but my daughter, when she did in the UK, you have like the equivalent, like the HSC. So she told me one time in history, I think it was her teacher kind of undermined her and said that, she wouldn't get more than a certain grade. And ironically, in the end, she got like the top 1% grade in history, something along them lines anyway, in the whole sort of, for the whole year, like the equivalent of year 12 over here. And I just use that as an example because it was through nothing that I said to her, by the way, nothing to do with me. I'm sure academic ability helped her, but it sort of shows you that I use that example that sometimes even academia, I'm not sort of saying it to sort of, blab on. This is an example, guys, that, this happens a lot in different areas too, in sport, in people have said things to all of us. And the trouble is, if you believe in what they say, then you conform to it. Then basically you don't break that ground, which is key. So once the belief is formed, you work overtime to prove it right. Even if the belief is something negative, like I'm never going to be good enough, I never get anything right. So many people are governed by our beliefs, even if it's harmful to ourselves and others. So sometimes what happens is we reinforce it. We look for it. If you believe you can't play, you'll never make it, then you look for excuses and you look for people who suggest and to support your framework of reality. And that's really important to know. So I've worked in sport for many years, and I've come across a lot of beliefs, and they center around, I'll never achieve my aims. They don't have the ability. They won't become good. They can't play at a certain level. They lack motivation or confidence. The list goes on. This is a general reason. So maybe you can sort of think of these, and which ones apply to you, if any. Not just in football, by the way, in life in general. In academia, in sport, in business even. Some of you might want to start a business one time. You might want to write a book. Sometime in your life, you might want to do a career, and you want to be mindful of what people say and how it impacts on us. To experience success as a coach or performer, essential you have certain qualities. One of the most important qualities is belief. If you believe you can achieve an outcome, your mind starts to recognize positive qualities. It's really interesting, guys. I don't know any of these two people, by the way. I'm going to use a story. I don't know either of these two people. I'll sort of clear that first of all. But I was watching an interview on TV one time, years ago. This interview on TV. He was a famous footballer. I think he won European Football of the Year once or twice. I don't know. But he played for England loads of times. He played in the great Liverpool team. And he became a manager in football. Eventually became the manager of England football team. I was watching it on TV, actually. It was the last game at the old Wembley Stadium versus Germany. England played Germany. I think it was a World Cup qualifier. And at the end of it, England had lost the game. I think it was 1-0 at the time. And when they interviewed the manager, he says, "I'm not cut out for this level." Something along them lines. You can probably see it on YouTube somewhere. And I found that really interesting. And that was sort of Kevin Keegan, by the way. So basically, it sort of shows how belief. Now, he's got all the qualifications, all the experience. I'm not saying good footballers aren't good managers, but what I am saying is that say, if you say I'm not cut out for it, it's not doing you any good. And then you have another manager. I don't know him either. And basically, I'm only going off what I saw at the press conference. And he was in a press conference, and when he first came to England, he didn't have any experience being a major professional footballer. He was a translator, I believe, at Barcelona. He had a great mentor, Spud Robson, the late Spud Robson. So basically, he turns up at the Chelsea press conference. You see him on TV. He goes, "I'm the special one." Now, I'm not saying to walk around and call you the special ones, but what I'm saying is that Jose Mourinho, the most successful manager, irrespective of what anyone says, in modern football. So if you look at the CVs, guys, of both of these people, and you're in a football club, you're probably going to choose Keegan's CV. You look at it, European footballer, played for England, most successful Liverpool team. Look at Mourinho's at the time. Okay, well, obviously, I'm undermining it. He's won a European Cup with Porto at the time. Phenomenal achievement, but you kind of still look at it and think, okay. But that self-belief, guys, and the players that I've worked with over the years, guys, it's that belief. They believe. If you go and take a penalty, think about how a player that believes he's going to score, she's going to score, looks like. Stands, with conviction. The one who doesn't, they walk up hesitantly. So I want you to focus on being in the change room and believing that you deserve to be there. So if you get a chance to trial somewhere, wherever it is in the world, I want you to walk in there and own it, guys. Not be arrogant, not be okay, be humble, but believe that you deserve to be there. And I want you to think about now an exercise. Recognize your own beliefs. What is something you believe at some point you thought you could not do in your sport or be difficult, and now you managed to do it? See, at one point, I told people every footballer had no ability. It doesn't matter who you are in the world, all the players you watch on TV, at one point they couldn't do what they do now. You're not necessarily born, you're not born genetically. Obviously, you've got certain genes to run fast and jump high. And I've always said you can be the best you can be, but no one, is born, kicking the ball, 30, 40 yards. And sometimes the most talented players early on in the career don't make it as well. So it's not always, a given for various reasons. But yourself, you probably kick right foot now, left foot now, both feet, you practice it, you head the ball, maybe you beat opposition. Maybe you thought, I'm not going to play this level. So you could, like golf players, for example, they think, well, you know what, I'm not going to play at this level. It could be any sport, 10K under a certain time. The fitness test, guys, are key as well. So you think about your sort of, fitness test as well. To get the first thing I do if I go to a football club or consult the club, I tell them to do the fitness test and make sure your fitness levels are equally as good as, guys. Equally as good as. Your fitness levels are equally as good as the players in the team. That's a given. We've got to get our fitness levels high. So these sort of beliefs, maybe one time you didn't think you could sort of, run 20 meters under 3 seconds, but then you did it once and now you can do it. And they're the sort of things to think about, whenever, and many limiting beliefs, guys, are characterized by, I can't, I need to, I have to, I must, I shouldn't, should or shouldn't. Watch yourself when you say stuff like that. But I want you now, if you have a pen and paper, you can do it. If not, you can just do it in your mind. If not, this is recorded and come back to it. But think about some positive beliefs you've got about your ability. Okay, so you might believe I'm fast. I'll always get around this player. You might believe I'm a good head of the ball. You might believe I'm an intelligent footballer. So at one point, you didn't have that belief. Think about how you got the belief. What did you see, hear, and feel? And how do you know you've got that? Maybe you eat players for fun. You're a winger, and you sort of dribble around players. But think about your positive beliefs, guys, about you. And I want you to really reinforce those and keep them and make them stronger. And realize that in the other side of things, if you've got negative beliefs in your life, in academia, in football, obviously, you don't know where they've turned up. So you might think, I'll never play that level. I'll never find a good team. I'll never get that grade at school. I'll never develop that skill. I'll never beat that opponent. Make sure you're aware of that. Okay? You go into every game believing you can win, guys. You go into every game. Okay? I've been a part of some, games that, we call giant killings, one of a better word. And the reason being, I believe, I've been in teams where we've been written off. All about written off. Everybody writes us off, everyone. And that's good. I like it when we get written off. It's not a problem. Because I know when I'm in the change room what we can do. It's fine. I'm not there to prove anything to anybody, to the media, nothing like that. Write us off. Great. Do our team talk for us. But the key point being is that it's the players that are important now. It's you that's important. So I want you to believe if there's anything doubt in your mind. Now, there's no guarantees in football. I had this conversation in an interview with a sports, someone who does like mental skills on radio recently, and I do a lot, obviously, some of the radio shows I do, I interview some people in sports, in various capacities. And there's no guarantees in sport for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. I did an interview a few weeks ago with someone on radio, and he was destined to be, a fantastic, great footballer at the very highest level, picked up an injury, and unfortunately that was the end of that. But now he's gone to become a very successful lecturer. And that's the thing, sometimes life's plans. There's only so many places, but still in the belief, guys. So what you learn at this academy, I truly hope it's going to galvanize you as a person, as a human being. It's not, your identity is not just about being a footballer. Think about how you are as a brother, as a son, as a friend, as a student. They're really important things too. Your self-worth isn't just football. But some of the beliefs that people say to me, I can't play at that level. I must, be confident. I shouldn't get nervous. I should train harder. What I say to you, and you can go back over this again too, by the way, is not to say why or why not for this sort of belief. There are times that we do say the question why, but in this context we don't. And the reason being, if you say why not, you're likely to elicit a list of reasons and justify and reinforce the limiting belief rather than removing it. Instead, ask the what question. The what question focuses the brain in another direction. It helps you to look for practical suggestions and solutions. So solution-focused questions. So you ask yourself, if some of those beliefs apply to you, what would have to happen for me to play that level? What would have to happen, guys, for you to play at the level you want to play? What would have to be different for you to be confident? What would have to be different for you to train harder? They're questions that are really powerful for you to take a moment and ask yourself these sort of questions. What would have to be different? Okay. You know, the fact that you're here in the early hours of the morning shows a lot of initiative. And I said that before, a lot of initiative. It shows you've got determination, you got desire. You got a lot, so going forward, think, okay, well, let me sort of think and see, look at the players who are at the level you want to be. Okay. At one point where you are now was a goal. Think of a negative belief I want to focus on, think of a negative belief that you sort of have that's not serving you no more. If you believe you can't do it, play the level you want to go, if you believe you're never going to improve a part of your game, you can never beat that opponent. So you can make a note of that, you can write it down, and now having written the belief or made a mental note of it, I want to destabilize it. How is that belief absurd or ridiculous? Was the person from whom I learnt the belief worth modeling or taking on board? See, a lot of people will tell you can't do things, but they haven't done it themselves. And that's not always because they want to be negative, it's just they see the world that way. What would it cost me if I don't let go of the belief? What would it cost me emotionally if I don't let go? Physically? What will it cost me financially? You invest in your time, your effort. You owe it to yourself, your family, your loved ones, people who sort of want you to succeed. And these are the sort of questions to ask yourself when you've got sort of a belief that's not serving you, to destabilize it. I've worked with plenty of players over the years who've gone on to play at the best level they could do. And that's important to me. Whether that's end up in the Premiership, whether that's end up playing in the scholarship or, in a Saturday semi-pro league, it's not relevant. What's relevant is they become the best they can be. But aim as high as you can. Okay? And when you ask those questions, you'll start to realize it's time to let go of that belief and give it, life a good go. You don't have to believe, guys, anything that you don't want to believe about yourself. If you still haven't got the leverage to break through them beliefs, it might mean there's some more work to do in a certain area. You didn't learn to play football overnight. It took years of training. You trained, you watched other people, and you learned from, their examples. A belief can take a moment, by the way. It takes one comment and we can internalize it. One idea, association, and you've got a behavior. And the idea over time, it gets reinforced. But we want to knock out, the belief. One thing I use, guys, and I've emailed you this too, when with my clients, irrespective of what sport they play, football or anything else for that matter, it could be a business or academic client, and I do a belief assessment worksheet. And this helps identify where you are in relation to working towards your goal. So if your goal is to be the best you can be as a footballer and play at the highest level you possibly can, then what I do is we sort of focus on this assessment worksheet, which you can go back over when you watch it again, or send you. And this is not just about football. It could be academic goal too, guys. So you rate the belief. And I ask my clients, and you don't have to say it at the moment. You can think about it, do it in your own privacy if you want to. So if your goal being to play football at the highest level, or to get a grade at college, or whatever it is, or to go on to do whatever you want to achieve in life, ask yourself: is your goal achievable? From 1 to 10, with 10 being high, and you just have a look and see, where am I on the scale? Do you believe you deserve your goal? Okay, on the scale. Do you believe the goal is appropriate? From 1 to 10. Is it desirable? Do you know what you have to do to achieve the goal? Do you have the skills and capabilities to achieve the goal? From 1 to 10. And if any of these areas get flagged up, you've got some of the best coaching staff around you to go up, and me too. You can email me and say, well, Jim, I don't know if I've got the confidence, and I'll send you stuff you can do to give you the best chance in that area, the capabilities. You know, if you think I might need to learn how to kick both feet, and you've got great coaches, I'll teach you. You know, you've got great mentors. You've got people who've come through the academy who've gone on to play pro. You know, you've got access to them as well. And these are sort of things to think about for yourself, to sort of know what you've got to do. The other thing as well, too, I've talked about before, we did earlier, we sort of set some goals earlier in the program. And now I want to get more specific. And I want to focus on an area in your game. If you focused on and developed, it'll bring you to a new level. And that could be kicking left foot, right foot, heading, sprinting faster, building your VO2 max. Okay. I had a client recently tell me, because obviously we've got, you know, the pandemic, and it changes sometimes. And, you know, we had a long period where you could do team training, and sort of went back into changing, as you're sort of well aware on the news. And I had a sort of client who texted me about his training in the period of lockdown, and he texts me and he says, okay, yeah, I need some training to tick over. I said, we don't tick over, man. It's not about ticking over. Obviously, you know, follow the guidelines, but the training we do is about you being the best you can be. It's not like a, you know, 5K stroll down the road. Every training session, guys, you train with intention and focus. Okay, that's really important. Every session, absorb every second. Take it all on board and think about what you need to improve, with a sense of belief and certainty that you can do it. Okay, you know, believe whatever it is, you know, the level you want to play at. Okay, if you don't end up playing at the level you want to play at for whatever reason, then at least you can look at yourself and say, give up everything I've got, you know, and that is a big achievement in itself. But then you might also go above and beyond that level. I work with players who, even in their own words, said, I played higher. And there must have been something inside their mind that believed they could do. But, you know, the same principles that we did in session 2, I want you to sort of focus your game now and think about what you want to improve in your game. When I say positive way, I don't mean like positive or, you know, wishy-washy. I mean like specifically what you want. So I want to focus on, what do I want to do? What level do you want to play football at? Okay, and you have to tell anybody, keep it in here and focus on it. You know, irrespective of whether that's the Premier League, and irrespective of whether that's, you know, the top league in Australia or in Asia, whatever. What's relevant now, set your sights as high as you can. And then if you don't reach it, at least you can reach high, rather than set your sights low and you reach it, the comfort zone, because sometimes people are afraid of failing. Sometimes we fail, we learn, okay? And think about the fitness you need to play. You got great fitness people. You know, from what I've seen, when I sort of traveled out to the academy and spoken to Tony, the fitness gear he's got is different class. It really is. You know, he's thinking, he's innovation. And I can, you know, and I know he's taken a lot on board, and he's been to Europe and he's seen the biggest clubs in the world train. We've talked about things, and I want you to focus, think about your fitness stats, how fast you run 20 meters, whatever test you've got. And I want you to sort of look to improve that, guys. Improve your physical thing. You set yourself a target of 6 weeks, a few months, to improve those levels, to go forward. The first thing you can do as well, guys, you're going to play at the highest level, be as fit as they are. And then it becomes a tactical, technical, psychological game. At least you achieve one variable. Okay, whenever I've gone to bigger teams, I focus on the variables that we could control, which is sort of key going forward. So unlike other, you know, goal setting techniques, here we're really specific. How many goals do you want to score next season? How many assists do you want to make? These are things you need to be thinking about, guys. And think about what's happening here and now. I am the striker I want to be, defender, keeper. Okay, I am going to score 20 goals this season. I am going to play at the level I want to play at. Okay, the power of saying I am is really powerful. It sort of takes anything else out of the equation. Okay, if you listen to some of the interviews I do, some of the athletes I interview on radio, you'll sort of see the intent the best athletes have. It's about, okay, I'm focused on what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to give it my best shot no matter what. Okay, is it achievable? Okay, and when I say that, it's about, okay, is someone else achieved it? If someone else has achieved it, then you've got to think, well, maybe I can do it too. How come, there's a possibility I can do it as well. But equally insane, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, so it takes time to train. People get disappointed. They want, to train for 30 days and they want to be, it takes time. If you're going to be a martial arts fighter, you don't just train 30 days and become the champion. It takes years of effort, application. Okay. And people say you should set a date. Some people say you should set a date. I think for me, you're strong enough characters in this group to set a date. I think so. And you've got strong enough people around you. I know that some of the coaches, obviously I know Tony really well. Some of the family, I don't know it well, but from when I've come to the academy, I've met some of the families, the parents, and they're strong, good people. They'll get behind you and support you. And, if you set a date for yourself to achieve a goal, if it doesn't work out, you've got strong enough people around you to say, you know what, it's okay. We go again. And you're strong enough. We want you to be strong characters, guys, on and off the field. Strong. That's strong people. So, and then think, how will you achieve your goal? I will achieve my goal by doing 2 extra training sessions a week. I had this guy who came to see me, who a couple of years ago, to give you an idea, he said he wanted to play at the highest level of cricket. I don't know a great deal about cricket. I watch a little bit here and now, but obviously interview people in the game. But this is just an example. When I told him that what he was doing in training wasn't enough, I said, I'm not an expert in that area. I'm an expert in my area, mental skills, but you need to train more. You need, how many times are you training? Well, 2-3 times. Now you got to train more. You have to train every day, because in 1 year, if you're training 3 or 4 times a week, the other guy's training an extra 3 days a week. That's 1,000 hours potentially more training than you. If you're the same level, how are you going to take his position? And I tell this to players. Parents tell me, obviously you've got different rules and regulations, different countries about how often you could train, hourly. This is sort of, obviously pre-COVID, whatever. Things get back to normal, whatever. You've still got different regulations. For me, for example, free training sessions a week, like it used to be at academy level and the game, or even 2 trainings at Centre of Excellence, not enough. And there'll be sort of people saying to me, well, okay, that's a contentious issue, what you say, because grades are important too. And they are important, absolutely are important. I'm not undermining, academics really important, but the point being is that if you want to be the best you can be, then you've got to put the effort in. So you think, and what you guys are doing now is a big example of that. And obviously, I'm not saying burnout. You got family time, study time, but do it, and that's the thing. And not to overestimate what we can do in a week. So don't think in a week I'll have the best left foot, right foot in the world. It takes time. It takes time to do the, to improve that. It takes time. Like I said before, you've got people around you that have, got a lot of skills. So think about, what you need to do to, might be extra weight session, practice technique, visualizing in a manageable way. This is even for like your school life and college life as well too. If you've got a goal to get a certain grade, and I'd like to see you, if you're in college, to get the best grade you can possibly get. Go in there and give it your best shot and get the best grade you can. If you've got ideas to do other stuff in sort of, business and your work, and be the best you can be, that's the key. But in football, think, okay, I'll do an extra session, practice my left foot. If that's too much, and you're already in tune, then maybe I'm going to rehearse it mentally. And these are the things you do to manage your lifestyle around that, which is sort of key, going forward. So as always, guys, you got my contact and resources here. I'm always happy to support you in every way I possibly can. And obviously the coaches around you will do the same too. It's been a great session. Start this week once again on the front foot, and start as you mean to go on, guys. In this morning session, give it everything you've got, leave nothing in the tank, and really, really focus, guys. Be in that moment. Before you go out to train, just put any negative thoughts into an imaginary bag, put them to one side. You can pick them up after if you wish, and then go out there and give everything you've got. You owe it to yourselves, which is key. Leave nothing unturned, and back yourself, guys. Whoever you're playing against, I don't care who it is. You respect the opposition, doesn't matter who they are, but also you don't fall in awe of anybody. Back yourself. If you're on the ball, back yourself, man. If someone's running at you, back yourself to do the job you need to do. So have a great week, guys, and we'll sort of catch up soon.